Coming up on show 832, the brand new Audi Q4 E-TRON Sportback. Technically a concept, but it looks pretty finished to me. I'll give you the details. Stick around. Plus on the podcast today, Italy falling in love with electric vehicles, GM pushing further towards EVs, how the London taxi could be delivering your mail, and one gas company is loving their EV vans. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're listening in the world. Welcome to EV News Daily, the edition for what happened on Tuesday, 7th of July. My name is Martyn Lee, and I go through every EV story, so you don't have to. Let's kick off with some news local to me, and I'm not even going to apologise for this. You know what, for years I've had to follow people on Twitter or listen to other podcasts of people in California 5 minutes away from Tesla's factory talking about how every second car they see on the freeway is a Tesla. Well, let me talk about this. Tesla's lithium-ion batteries are going to be providing a combined capacity of 15 megawatts with new battery storage, and the first time it's coming to the UK, and it's coming to a county called Dorset. And I know it well, it's where I live, and it's coming to a town called Poole. I know it well, it's where I live, and actually it's coming to an area called Holes Bay, which is 2.5 miles from where I live. So the very first Tesla Mega Pack storage is going to be down the road from me. On a clear day, I could probably see it, and actually I'm going to have a wander down there, and maybe at the weekend, and just have a look, see how close I can get. Maybe it's all fenced off, maybe I don't even know where it is. There's lots of sort of industry and stuff down there by the, it's where the boats get parked. What's that called? A marina. There you go. However, I had no idea there was going to be a Tesla Mega Pack. And that's like first one in the country using their auto bidder software, having built a big battery business in the last year or so, couple of years actually. Tesla really starting to push that out now. They've long been into, obviously, batteries for their cars, but the energy business was quiet for a long time, slowly working along, and now people are getting more and more excited about it. Well, of course, they have the Hornsdale project in Australia. That was the world's largest battery storage facility in the world at a time. That was capable of running about 30,000 homes. The company putting it in is called Harmony Energy. Peter Kavanagh is the boss, and I quote, he said, "Utility-scale battery energy storage is critical to the future of the UK's energy supply, often seen as the missing link in the UK's renewable energy strategy, both in terms of controlling grid frequency and providing backup during periods of peak demand." They want to build these Tesla Mega Packs all over the UK in the next few years, and they are delighted to be doing it. They say the first one down here in Poole. I'm excited. If Elon needs to pop in for a cup of tea, my front door is always open. By the way, when I do wander, I've wandered down there at the weekend. I pop some pictures on Twitter or Instagram. If you follow me on my socials, EV News Daily, everywhere. So, headline story, the brand new Audi Q4 2021 edition, the Q4 E-TRON Sportback is lovely. Technically a concept at this stage, but it looks so finished. I don't imagine the final car is going to be too far off of this. This is an alternative to the Jaguar I-Pace, which is a little pricier. The Tesla Model Y, which is a little cheaper. They say that when the Q4 ships, it'll come with an 82 kilowatt hour battery. That'll be 77 or 78 usable, I think, on that MEB platform. 310 miles of range. It's an Audi, so it'll be four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, I should say, with the Quattro technology. 306 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 6.3 seconds. Expected around £50,000 and on sale next year. Of course, it's built on the same platform as the Volkswagen Group are rolling out, so things like the ID3, the ID4, all of the ID range, things like the Skodas, the Seats, although the Seat Elborn is actually being rebranded. They're going to release it under their Cupra brand, and that'll be a little bit cheaper, but that'll have the same size battery, a more performance-oriented car. And of course, the Audi Q4 E-TRON Sportback, and it's a Sportback, so it's got that sloopy? What's that word? It's got that swooping, what's a sloopy? It's got the swooping rear hatchback on it, the tailgate on it, and so, okay, not the most practical if you've got dogs and stuff to put in the back. However, it is a very stunning looking car. You do get, with the Audi e-tron 55, Sportback, you actually get less car for more money, which is spectacular, but it does look absolutely amazing. Audi styling on top form with this. There are some angles, the total side angle of this, because the wheels are so far on the corners of the car, if you know what I mean, which is because they can put the battery pack in the middle. There's angles of this that make it look very much like an I-Pace. The side angle, to me, looks like an I-Pace rip-off, and it's not, obviously. There's bits of it that look very Polestar-y, like, I think the front with the angular headlights, the LED headlights look very Polestar. Of course, the Polestar 2 starts at $49,999, and so exactly the same price bracket as this, except the Polestar will be quicker. This will do 0 to 60 in 6.3. Polestar 2 is going to be sub 5. I think it's 4.7 seconds, and that's all-wheel drive. And that's going to have 400 horsepower and be more powerful and have about the same range. So what would you have? An Audi Q4 e-tron, or maybe you'd have a Polestar 2. They're the same price at the moment until we get the final details and local offers and things like that. The styling is gorgeous. I'm just completely on board with Audi styling right now. Interior, very luxurious, without being OTT inside this. They've called it a concept. Look, it looks finished to me. It looks like every other Audi on the road at the moment, except it's that kind of SUV crossover style. So we look forward to seeing that. Italy's battery electric vehicle market is up, and it's up a lot. Electric car sales keeping their strong momentum in Italy, a country which has, until now, lagged behind some other countries. And June figures showing that EV sales are on the increase. What's done very well in June? Tesla Model 3 was number one, only just beating by 3 cars the Renault Zoe, a very close second. Also up there, the Smart 4.2, the Volkswagen E-Up, and the Peugeot E2008. The numbers aren't huge. I mean, percentage-wise, up 53%. The actual numbers aren't mega. There's something like 2,228 full electric cars in the month of June. Not the biggest. Some of those European countries, Italy, Spain's another one, not fully on board with EVs for a while, but both of those are making, they're catching up fast. Okay, let's talk GM. They are discontinuing the production of the Chevrolet Sonic. Not a car I'm familiar with. This must be a US-only car. They say it's being discontinued because of terrible sales, and it's making room in the factory for an electric car. So I fully approve of this news. Production of the Sonic lasted longer than many expected, says CNBC, amid low gas prices and consumer preferences moving to crossovers. And it is indeed going to be a crossover car. It's going to be the Bolt EUV, which takes its place on the production line. Production of the Sonic, GM's Orion assembly plant in suburban Detroit, ends in October. And then in 2021, they'll start production of the Bolt EUV. The new car is a larger version of the current Chevrolet Bolt, which indeed has been upgraded or updated recently. They've axed the Sonic due to declining demand, says CNBC. I'll pop a link to that article in the show notes if you would like to read more, and it's great to see another gas car disappear and make way for EV. So, Centrica is the utility company, which is ultimately the owner of British Gas, and they have just made the largest UK commercial EV order with VAUXHALL, or VAUXHALL/Opel, depending on what it's called, where you are, owned ultimately by the PSA Group. The vans I've talked about on the podcast a little bit too much lately, so I won't go into the details, but you know, I'm a really big fan of commercial vehicles because they do so many miles, and it makes the air cleaner than a diesel that's going to do 500,000 miles in its lifetime, you know, and the rest. And an EV is just worth so many domestic cars that sit parked up for most of their life. Anyway, British Gas has ordered 1,000 of the new VAUXHALL Vivaro E vans, and they are fully committed, they say, to turning their fleet completely electric. But over the next 12 months, these vans will be arriving from VAUXHALL for their engineers who are driving around and doing the important work. Gas engineers to do that with EV power. Just fantastic news. And, you know, it's just the first of many. These stories of 1,000 orders here and 500 orders there going to be dwarfed in time, and they're going to get more and more popular and regular, that I'll be reporting on those on the podcast. And British Gas has the third largest commercial fleet in the country, and they say they will fully electrify it. Well, they can see what's happening, and they can see it's cheaper to run, less servicing. You charge them, hopefully, at the depot or wherever they go back to, or even if they are, like many work vehicles, they go home with, you know, the gas engineer in the evening. They don't all go back to a central depot, and many people take them home, and hopefully they'll be putting charging into those people's homes if they have, you know, off-road charging, and they can do that. Well, next story is all about charging. NEWMOTION. NEWMOTION is a charging company. They're partnering with a big supermarket here in the UK called ALDI, big around Europe as well, to put EV charging points into Aldi stores, adding 140 chargers to the UK public network. The NEWMOTION charge points, 22 kilowatt AC posts. Hurrah! I say that because I own a Renault Zoe, which charges at 22 kilowatts AC. Hurrah! Which is great news, and certainly a pop to the supermarket, a pop to Aldi is about the right time that you want to stick it on a 22 kilowatt post. Hopefully they'll be free, but if not, I'm not complaining about that. I don't mind paying for a service as long as the price isn't too ridiculous. All right, moving on. And another company, it's a lot of fleet news at the moment. Another company going green is the Royal Mail, a company with their distinctive red vans for many, many years in this country, are now using a version of the famous London black cab. You've seen those. You've seen our red phone boxes and letterboxes, and the London black cabs, one of the famous sights on the streets of the capital. And they're using the red versions, obviously, and van versions of them. Now, they are range extenders, but they are battery electric, capable of doing, I forget off the top of my head, it's a fair amount. It's like 63 or 65 miles on the battery in the cab, which if you're, you know, doing jobs around London as a cabbie, that can often be enough all day. But it is a 1.5 litre range extender inside it, total range of 300 miles, but hopefully they can do, you know, if the postie is out delivering the mail, how far do posties go from the depot, really, apart from in rural areas? So that's 60 odd miles, should be enough on all electric power. And so they're going to be going to Birmingham, Derby, Leeds, Edinburgh and Bristol, testing them out to begin with, and hopefully, fingers crossed, later this week you'll see them around the Hockley suburb of Birmingham. The new red LEVC Royal Mail vans that look like a black cab, but of course they're full of post in the back of them. Well, the conversion of the Porsche plant in Leipzig for the production of the third generation of the electric Macan is on schedule, despite of the virus. The new body shop for Porsche's electric SUV has been completed, says electrive.com today. The next step is to set up the plant inside the building, and although the topping out ceremony for the new plant was planned for early July, that was pushed back because of COVID. But exciting news about the third generation of the Macan from Porsche as being an all-electric car, and again it's going to be another stunning car from Porsche, and that factory they're doing converting is getting ever closer. Well, Renault is launching a European charging infrastructure subsidiary. It's called, I want to say Excellent, but it's not. It's Elexent, ELEXENT. Elexent, and it's helping fleets go electric. The new company will operate across Europe in partnership with others, and helping fleets go all electric, even with plug-ins for electric as well. They want to provide the right solution for the need. They say, our purpose is to help companies establish or expand their EV fleets by providing ready-to-use charging solutions. We help our clients create optimized energy strategies by designing the best charging infrastructure to meet their needs. Interesting seeing companies like this pop up. There's been many companies already that have been advising businesses, local authorities, all around the world, governments, on strategy around charging and things like that. But it's interesting that a car maker like Renault is getting into the business and launching a subsidiary company that will help other businesses and fleets electrify. I imagine that's with some hardware, with some data, with all the things that they need to know. Now, the Renault group already boasts that it has 4,000 charging points at its own sites. And so got some experience, according to Inside EVs. And finally, I thought I'd top the podcast off today, as we've talked a little bit about fleet stuff and big orders for cars. Not just individuals buying cars, but the kind of orders that are in the hundreds and the thousands. UK new car registrations were down 35% year on year in June here in this country because of the, following COVID and getting back to normal. Demand from fleets is being relatively slow to return, but in a survey, fleet buyers are more excited about EVs than any other type of car. And fleet owners surveyed and fleet buyers surveyed said that they intend to be making more EV purchases over the next 12 months, both full electric versions and plug-ins as well, expecting a strong performance from EVs as we go forward. Another day of fantastically positive news today. And if you'd like to get in contact about anything we talk about on the podcast, I'd love to hear from you. My email address is hello@evnewsdaily.com, or leave a comment on the YouTube show. Well, you can, if you want to, listen to any of the shows in the archive of this podcast. If you want to head to the blog, it's evnewsdaily.com, and in there, the little search bar at the top, and you'll be able to find maybe it's a topic or something you're learning about, or researching, or for a project, and you can find years and years worth of news in there in 831 previous podcasts. Thank you to our premium partners, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Brightsmith Group, Porsche of The Village in Cincinnati, Audi of Cincinnati East, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, and now nationalcarcharging.com. And in Hawaii, AlohaCharge.com. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And remember, there's no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.